modern music in an old jungle story. And the last film that Walt oversaw all of production for before he died. What makes The Jungle Book unique, with not a standing legacy within our modern brains? Hello, my name is Em, and I am currently on a journey where I am watching every single Disney animated movie in chronological release order and ranking them on a tier list with my husband. But because I like to learn the history of some of my favorite movies, I am doing a little bit of history and fun facts moments to kind of talk about the context of what made our favorite Disney films. And The Jungle Book premiered at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood on October 18th, 1967. It is based on I'm gonna pronounce it differently because I know that they pronounce it differently than the movies, the Mowgli stories from the Rudyard Kipling book of the same name, The Jungle Book, which was published in 1894. It is the final animated film to be produced by Walt Disney, with him passing away during production in December of 1966 from lung cancer. And it stars Phil Harris as Baloo, Sebastian Cabot as Bagheera, who had previously voiced Sir Ector in The Sword and the Stone, Louis Prima as King Louie, George Sanders as Shere Khan, Sterling Holloway as Kaa, and Sterling Holloway was a big Disney voice. He had previously voiced Mr. Stork in Dumbo, Adult Flower in Bambi, and Cheshire Cat in Alice in Wonderland. And we will see him again. He's a big voice for Disney. J. Pat O'Malley as Colonel Hati and Buzzy the Vulture. And he was also a big voice for Disney. He had voiced Cyril in The Wind in the Willows, Tweedledee and Tweedledum in Alice in Wonderland, and Jasper in 101 Dalmatians. Bruce Reitherman as Mowgli. Verna Felton in her final role at Disney. She would actually pass away, I think, like one day from when Walt passed away. I can't remember if it was the day before or the day after, but Verna Felton passed away in 1966, probably after recording Winifred. And she had voiced Fairy Godmother in Cinderella, Queen of Hearts in Alice in Wonderland, Aunt Sarah in Lady and the Tramp, and Flora in Sleeping Beauty. And Walt first thought of making an animated version of The Jungle Book in the late 30s. It wasn't until after the story for The Sword and the Stone was completed that the story artist Bill Peet discussed The Jungle Book to be the next adaptation. Walt agreed and acquired the rights to all the stories in the original book. Walt originally wanted the adaptation to be very faithful to the original book, wanting the film to follow in the path of Bambi. Bambi was decently, from what I've heard, decently faithful to the book. There's some things that aren't in there and some things that were changed. But I think Walt wanted to follow kind of what Bambi did in the same way. Bill Peet tried to write the story linearly rather than the episodic nature of the novel, and preserve the ominous tone of the novel and the darker nature of the novel while adding some more drama and suspense. This was also when the decision for Mowgli's journey to the village being the central point was made. And one of the few departures from the book was the character of Baloo, turning him to be goofy and making Bagheera the mentor. The character of King Louie is also an addition. After the critical reception to The Sword and the Stone, Walt decided to be more involved with the development of The Jungle Book. So when reviewing the storyboards, he felt that Bill Peet's version of the story was too dark for what Walt wanted. He didn't feel like it had the Disney energy that he wanted. Especially, I'm guessing he just was a little concerned about bringing back that Disney energy, especially after Sword and the Stone flopped. We're kind of in this weird era because I'm kind of in this weird era with animation because Sleeping Beauty flopped. And then the next 101 did really well. And then Sword in the Stone flopped. So Walt's kind of just trying to be like, what? I guess he might just be like, what is working and what isn't. Yeah. So due to this, Walt held a meeting insisting that the story for the film be made lighter and more friendly for families. And Bill Peet, however, refused, as he had been working on the story for over a year at that point. And this created arguments and tension with Walt, resulting in Bill Peet's departure from the Disney studio in 1964. And after Bill Peet left, Larry Clemens was assigned to be a writer for the project. And he thought that the book was too disjointed and needed some adaptations to fit a script. And although most of Bill Peet's story was discarded, the characters' personalities remained. This is because Walt felt the story should be simple and the characters should drive the story. And the Sherman Brothers helped reimagine the dark character of King Louie into the jazz swinging animal with the logic of, what does a monkey do? Swing in a tree. Guys, I'm a composer, and sometimes I overthink stuff of composers think everything poetic, and learning that, I'm like, oh, yeah, I don't really have to overthink composing. Why does King Louie sing, do a swing, jazz number? Because what do monkeys do? They swing in trees. Walt wanted more well-known celebrities for the voices of the movie, which was very rare for his animated projects. He liked a lot of radio personalities. He liked a lot of already existing voice actors. So having him be like, yes, I want established actors is really interesting. And I feel like maybe it's crazy. It kind of starts to issue this era of voice actors. We've seen more and more and more voice actors being pushed out of major Hollywood roles. But I think that this might have been the starting of that, and it slowly grew into what we know today, where in a way, voice acting is left to TV shows at this point, and even then it's a toss-up. But yeah. And many auditions were held for Baloo, with Walt trying to find an Ed Wynn-like voice. If you don't know who Ed Wynn is, he was the voice for the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. And animators also auditioned exchange students from India for an authentic voice, but couldn't find one that they thought fit what they were looking for, which I appreciate the effort. Keep in mind this was the 60s, so the effort was there. Would I accept that in modern day? Abso-freaking-lutely not. But I do appreciate that they tried at the time, because I don't know, guys, it was the 60s. It's a little, I think that's valiant. And do I wish they tried a little harder? Yes. But am I appreciative that they tried? Yes. And Walt suggested Phil Harris for Baloo after meeting him at a benefit, but the animators could not imagine him as the character, including Harris himself. And he almost turned down the role after a test recording, but reconsidered after he was encouraged to perform as himself. The casting of him caused his role in the film to be expanded, and many of Baloo's lines were improvised by Harris. So Phil Harris, guys, this is Phil Harris's first role with the Disney company. We'll kind of see him in a few more roles, including in my next video, which is Aristocats. So, yeah. And Walt originally considered Louis Armstrong as King Louie, but when one of the writers mentioned that the NAACP might have a problem with a black man playing a monkey, so they pivoted. Yeah, so keep in mind, if you want to know kind of a little bit more about what happened with Song of the South and Disney and everything, I have a video on that. But keep in mind, this was probably a little over, well, at the time of development, it had not been 20 years since it was released yet. I think it was still fresh on people's minds, and the controversy of it, I think they were just trying to be a little bit weary there. The Vultures are based on the Beatles, obviously. I don't know. Like, I mean, when my husband was watching it and he had never seen it before, he was like, are they supposed to be the Beatles? And I'm like, yeah, they're supposed to be the Beatles. And there were plans for the Beatles to voice the characters, meaning they wanted to approach them. But this did not pan out due to John Lennon refusing to work on animated films at the time. This is typical John Lennon behavior. By the way. Which is funny because then they went on to produce Yellow Submarine. If y'all want me to watch Yellow Submarine, let me know. Because I watched it once when I was 9. In elementary school on a rainy day. Because we were not allowed to go out to recess. So if you want me to watch Yellow Submarine again, because all I remember about it is it was a fever trip. So if you want me to watch Yellow Submarine again, put it in my comments and let me know. Anyway, in earlier drafts of the film, the Vultures were to have a rhino friend named Rocky, but Walt decided to cut the character due to feeling like the film had enough action. I think especially in that scene. And David Bailey was originally cast as Mowgli, but was replaced by Bruce Reitherman due to going through puberty at the time. And Bruce Reitherman would also provide some live-action model reference for Mowgli. Animation work began in June of 1965. While it was practiced in earlier films that animators would be in charge of specific characters, in the Jungle Book, they would be in charge of sequences instead, so specific sequences. The animation was done in xerography. If you want to know a little bit more about the Xerox process, I would look at my 101 Dalmatians video, because that's when they introduced it. So, yeah. And the backgrounds are painted with the exception of the waterfall, which was mostly footage of a waterfall. So there's a scene in it with a waterfall, and that was actual footage of a waterfall. Who knew? And some animation is reused from other films, namely animations of the wolf cubs are taken from puppies in 101 Dalmatians. The chase scene in King Louis's Ruins is also taken from the chase scene in The Wind in the Willows, which is in The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, which I have a video on if you want to learn more about. Sometimes it just feels like I keep plugging myself, but I'm like, if they keep referencing their old movies, then I can't help but not plug myself, guys. Milk Call based Bagheera and Shere Khan on the movements of the animals, which he watched Disney documentaries to understand. So, if you don't know, and if you do know, I'm sorry that I'm saying this, but Walt Disney became very interested in nature documentaries. I don't know why, but if anybody wants a tier list on Walt Disney's nature documentaries that he made at that time, please let me know. I don't know how many are on Disney Plus. I don't know how many are widely available, but let me know. So Walt Disney got really interested in nature documentaries and making documentary films. So Milk Call used some of them as references. And Baloo was also based on footage from bears, especially the scratching that he does. And Kaa has big eyes due to him not having limbs, so he can use his eyes for expression. And the monkeys dance during I Want to Be Like You is inspired by a performance that Louis Prima did that convinced Walt to cast him. And 2 musical cues are reused from other projects. In the scene where Mowgli wakes up after escaping King Louis, that is from Sleeping Beauty. So George Bruns wrote the music, like the score. So this just makes sense because he also wrote the score for Sleeping Beauty. And the scene where Bagheera eulogizes Baloo takes the organ score from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Terry Gilkyson? I'll put his last name up here. I might be mispronouncing it. Was the first songwriter on the project, following the book closely. Walt felt that his interpretation was too dark and took him off the project, replacing him with the Sherman Brothers. Walt loved the Sherman Brothers. The only song that Terry Gilkyson wrote that made it into the final film was Bare Necessities. And the Sherman Brothers were brought in for a complete rewrite of the music. So Walt said that he didn't want the, quote, mysterious heavy stuff from the book and the 1942 live-action adaptation. There was a 1942 live-action adaptation that was closer to the book, so he didn't want it based on that. He wanted the Disney charm, is what he said, basically. The Sherman Brothers were frequently brought into the story meetings and were asked by Walt to write fun songs in the scary moments of the film and have songs that progress the story rather than interrupt. I feel like that's what friends are for, kind of interrupts the story, but maybe that's just me. Like the whole vultures and everything, maybe that's just me. It's not my favorite Disney moment, not my favorite Disney song, but that's just me. That's just me. Don't flame me in the comments. Please don't flame me in the comments for my opinions. Trust in Me was reworked from a cut song from Mary Poppins called Land of Sand. I talked about that in my Mary Poppins video. If you're interested in Mary Poppins, watch my Mary Poppins video. Self-plug, self-promo. The premiere for The Jungle Book was a fundraiser for the Los Angeles Zoo, which had opened a year prior to the release in 1966. The budget for the film was $4 million at the time, which is $40.8 million when adjusted for inflation. The film grossed $106.3 million in domestic rentals by 1968 and $107.8 million by 1970, becoming the second highest grossing animated film in the United States and Canada at the time. The Jungle Book made $197.4 million worldwide when adjusted for inflation, making it the most successful animated film during its initial run, and it has a lifetime gross of $860.5 million when adjusted for inflation, making it the 34th highest grossing movie when factoring inflation and lifetime gross. In 1994, it became the best-selling international VHS release. The Jungle Book received glowingly positive reviews, with critics praising the fun nature of the film, the backgrounds, and the music, which, yes, it is genuinely a great film that I loved revisiting. And The Bare Necessities was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Song. Guys and gals, and non-binary pals, and all my friends. Let me tell you something. The song that won Best Original Song is from Dr. Dolittle, that had released in the same year. If you have seen Dr. Dolittle, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that man can't sing. That man can't sing. That man can't sing. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't seen Dr. Dolittle, it's the same guy that plays the main guy in My Fair Lady that can't sing. Yeah, that's the guy I'm talking about. Not her love interest. It's the guy that's like trying to teach her how to speak. Guys, he cannot sing. He patters. If you guys know what patter is, the entire song that won Best Song is Patter. And it is a very, very Mary Poppins inspired. Very, very Sherman Brothers inspired. So, am I a little salty Bare Necessities didn't win? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And Gregory Peck tried to lobby for Jungle Book to be nominated for Best Picture, but it was denied. So, yeah, it would be a few years until an animated movie, a Disney animated movie, would be nominated for Best Picture. And even then, I think it's taboo for animated movies to be nominated for Best Picture, even today, you know. And in 1969, a sequel storytelling record titled More Jungle Book, Further Adventures of Baloo and Mowgli was released, with Phil Harris and Louis Prima reprising their roles. In 2003, a sequel was released, and I will cover this. Do I know when? No, I don't know how long this project will take. Listen, it's been 6 months since I started this project, and I have gotten through almost, at this point, I've gotten through 30 years. 30 years? And Disney as a company has been around for over 100, so we'll see. We'll see when I get to 2003. In 2005, a third movie was discussed, but never came to fruition. Thank everything. I'm so happy it didn't, because, guys, I already have over 100 movies to do. So, yeah. Characters from the Jungle Book have appeared in shows like Tailspin and Jungle Cubs, and there was a 1994 live-action adaptation that was made by an independent company and distributed by Disney. In 1998, a direct-to-video movie titled The Jungle Book: Mowgli's Story was released, and that's also in live-action. In 2016, we got a live-action adaptation of the animated classic. And so, on the Disney Wiki, it's weird, because for 101 Dalmatians, they said, oh, this is the most live-action adaptations of any Disney movie. But then it also says that for this one. So, I guess what they mean is there are multiple live-action adaptations, meaning like with this one, they're not exactly tied directly to the animated movie, but the other ones for 101 Dalmatians are. So take these facts with whatever. You make your own conclusion about those facts. And the characters have appeared in House of Mouse, Lion King 1.5, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Aladdin King of Thieves. And this is still the highest grossing animated film in Germany, according to my research. I don't know if that's still true. And King Louie's laugh is actually reused from Brer Rabbit in Song of the South. And I forgot to say this, but this is actually really interesting. But Rudyard Kipling's daughter did not like the movie. She was still alive when the film was released. She did not like it. She said she absolutely hated the Disney film for being an adaptation in name only, and she took particular offense to how they pronounced Mowgli's name instead of pronouncing it Mowgli. And this is so funny. She said, quote, "I hate Walter Disney." And that's wild because nobody calls him Walter. Nobody calls him Walter. Everybody calls him Walt, but she's like, I hate Walter Disney. We are on a full government name basis. I hate Walter Disney, which is so wild. But that's all I have for fun facts for history. So let's get on to my husband and I's thoughts about the Jungle Book. So we just finished the Jungle Book. And this one I kind of have dear to my heart. It's probably the one that I have the most memories of watching, of like the non-fairy tale fantasy of Disney. Okay, yeah, so I do like Jungle Book, and I've liked Jungle Book. I think it's good. I think it's definitely like a solid movie. I think that they upped the game with the Xerox backgrounds in this one. I think they're a lot better in this one. The background art is gorgeous at points. Like, absolutely stunning. The music, although, I don't know, would I consider this a musical? No. Like, I feel like it has music. And, like, I don't know. It's just, it isn't.
I would see
don't
it
know.
as a musical the same way you might look at, like, Cinderella. It has a lot of musical elements, but it's not inherently a musical itself, you know?
I don't think you know what a musical is. But okay. I don't know. It just, like, to me, I know it's a musical. It just doesn't feel like that much of a musical. And I think the pacing is pretty well done. Because, like, the whole conversation with the vultures where it's like, well, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. What should we do? Well, I don't know. You know,
Hey,
like...
don't you start this again.
Yeah, like, I don't feel like that goes on too long. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it goes on for, like, a minute to the point where you're like, okay, you know, like, but, like...
We get the joke.
If it went on any longer, I think it would have been a problem. And I hate to say it, modern kids' films would have taken it on a lot longer. Yeah.
I did actually want to ask. I know I, like, joked because they reminded me of the Beatles. Are they, like, actually based off
I
of the
think
Beatles?
so.
Yeah?
I actually genuinely think they're supposed to be based off of the Beatles. I think I've heard that.
Yeah, because they all have, like, Britishy accents, and they're all kind of very ragtaggy, kind of what you picture the Beatles to behave like in media that is referencing them.
Oh, yeah, some of their accents are full on, like, supposed to be the Beatles. Like, it's not even a question.
Like maybe if it's not a direct reference, it's just meant to be, like, clearly inspired by, at least in part, by them.
Yeah. Oh, the elephants, hilarious. Mm-hmm. I love it.
Never forgets.
And the conversation where she's like, well, you just forgot your son
Yes.
is such a conversation that we'd have. It's funny. And I don't know. Like, I remember being a kid and thinking Mowgli's kind of annoying. I didn't feel that way this time around.
I didn't feel that way.
Yeah, I don't know. The songs, I will say every song is a straight banger.
Yeah.
Every song, straight banger. One thing I will praise them for also is that fight scene, that end climax scene with Shere Khan, not that long. And I so appreciate it because they had the chance to drag it out and they didn't.
I felt a little bit, I thought it was a smidgen too short. Like, I feel like things resolved a little too quickly. I think they could have maybe had maybe like one extra scene or something of what's the Panther's name again? Bagheera, that's right. They could have maybe had Bagheera see from the distance and see, like, the fire from the tree or something like that. Mm-hmm. Kind of like the earlier scenes in the movie where he hears the roar of Baloo and then turns around. They could do kind of like a little just short, like, callback scene to that, almost kind of like a mirror of it. I think that would have given it just a smidgen more depth. But yeah, overall it was pretty good with Shere Khan.
I think Ka's amazing, but Sterling Holloway is just fantastic. Like, I don't know. I think they reused Bambi's mother again. And I find that interesting.
Yeah, they hired you back on to shoot him.
I did not shoot Bambi's mother. If you don't know what we're talking about, it's my thumbnail for my Bambi video, which he made me do, by the way. I'd like to point out, that was not a me thing. I did not know what to do for that. And he was like, well, what if you are holding a rifle like you shot Bambi's mother? And I was like, okay. But he thinks it's so hilarious I had to do it.
It's so funny.
I'll be honest, I don't know if anybody else finds it funny for you. Anyway, going back to Jungle Book, I think that they messed around with the backgrounds a lot more with this one to, like, create artistry a little bit more than they had with the previous, like, Xerox backgrounds ones.
Yeah, there was one shot that we were talking about. I don't know if it was just, like, like really meticulously hand animated, but it looked almost like if they like took footage of a waterfall and like edited it in, you know, because the waterfall looked slightly blurry, which would have made sense for cameras at the time. And so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, It genuinely was, like, this entire film feels like it's Xeroxy, you know? But, like, I don't feel like it has the roughness of the last two films. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I don't know. It's, oh my gosh, King Louis. King Louis. I love that scene till I die. King Louis is so funny, but let's add another animal to the list of animals that kind of scare me and I didn't know until watching a Disney movie. Why are orangutans' arms longer than their legs? That's kind of creepy. I kind of hate that. Thanks, I kind of hate it. Like, that's not as bad as, like, the dogs, but, like, when King Louis was doing stuff with his arms, kind of freaked me out a little bit. But
yeah, you mentioned this was like the origin of a lot of your fears of animals.
No, I did not say that. I said, what if this series... I did not say that this movie. I said, what if this series reveals my phobia of multiple animals? Home Alone 2. I watched Home Alone 2 with my family, and I realized I think I have a phobia of birds. And then I don't like snakes. I think that this kind of helped facilitate and help me remember I don't like snakes. Yeah, Sword in the Stone, big fish. Don't like big fish either. I don't know. I don't know, man. Scary things scare me. That's all I have to say. Scary animals freaking scare me. You know, certain types of monkeys terrify me. You know, like that monkey with like the human face?
The monkey with the human face? The one with the leaf? That makes the little trumpety and has the little quarrel with King Louis?
No. I'm talking about an actual monkey.
I don't think so.
Never mind. That thing used to terrify me as a child. I digress. I love that scene. I love the song. I've always loved the song. I think I've always... I liked Bare Necessities as a kid. And I loved, like, there's bits and pieces that I remember more than others of this movie. I think I remember the first part of the movie more, and I remember My Own Home more. My Own Home is one of my favorite Disney songs. And I know that it's one of my mom's as well. So, shout out to Mom. Everyone say hi to my mom in the comments. She lurks. Sometimes.
Hello.
You're saying hi to my mom right now? Okay. I don't know if there's anything else to say about this movie. Like, it's good, you know? Like, it's straightforward. I don't have a problem with it. It's just kind of a good old time, you know? Like, it's definitely... I don't know. Do I dare say we put it in A tier? Like, I feel like it is.
Okay with A tier.
Do we dare not to put it in my bare necessities tier? When I named my B tier after the song?
I mean, it's true.
I will say, something else I appreciated is that it has this weird uniqueness from Bambi, where the characters are more humanized than Bambi, despite the fact that the Bambi characters speak English as well. These characters are a lot more humanized than the Bambi characters. You know what I mean?
Yes, I agree. Kind of, a little bit. I think it's more so that the animals are acting more human-like than the Bambi cast does. But I I don't know if I would say their design is more human-like, at least to me.
I definitely think there's some human influences. Like, Shere Khan has that crimson chin, and, like...
Well, some tigers have big chins like that. Maybe not to that extent, because it's a cartoon character, but, you know.
And then I feel like Baloo has some human features in his face, and Bagheera and stuff like that, but, like... I don't know. I think that it's very different. So when Bambi's mother kind of stepped in, it was a little bit weird because I'm like, they don't fit the same art style. I'm so sorry. Oh, another thing. I loved when Colonel Hati was like,
Man cub? What man cub?
That's not what I'm talking about. I was talking about when he was like, it's not regulation. And he goes and he cuts the guy's hair.
Yep.
I thought that was hilarious. Oh, this one made me laugh. When Baloo looks to the camera and says, "Oh boy," that made me laugh too. Yeah.
I don't know why you brought it to me. I don't have anything. I mean, I guess there was one scene I liked. I liked one scene. The one that had the Bambi, is they had Shere Khan looking through the leaves and stuff. I just thought it was I guess it would be color theory. I don't know. I'm not an animator. Where you could see his yellow eyes peering out a lot, and they were really, really bright through the grass compared to the rest of his body. It kind of made it stand out. It was a good shot.
Yeah. I don't know. A tier, A tier, A tier, A tier, A tier, A tier, because I don't see any problems with this movie other than maybe taste. But even then, like, A tier compared to S tier is like a taste thing, you know? Like, I feel like the difference between A tier and S tier is taste. I don't know.
I think the main thing that keeps it from S tier is probably its ending. I feel kind of mixed on its ending. It kind of feels like it just kind of, like, they have the battle with Shere Khan, and then Shere Khan, and then he sees the girl, and then he obviously returns to the village. Like, that's like the obvious scene of what happens. It would make sense. But then the story just kind of, like, ends there. Like, it feels like if I was writing, I maybe would have added just a little bit more. Like, I don't know, Mowgli could be saying something like, "Oh, don't worry, like, you know, just because I'm here, it doesn't mean I can't, like, visit the jungle and see you guys," or whatever, you know?
Yep. That idea will be explored again in The Jungle Book 2. Which is one I actually haven't seen in quite a while. I watched it once, and I remember it not being great. So I'm excited to watch it with my more cynical adult eyes.
Yippee!
Anyway, would you like to sing something?
'Cause they're your bare necessities. I don't remember the lyrics. The simple bare necessities don't matter about your worries. And your strife. That's what I thought it was, but I don't remember. Bare necessities.
Mother's nature's recipes that bring the bare necessities of life. Thank you so much for watching.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
What he said. I hope you enjoyed my singing. I am full clear on my back right now, so it's not my best work. Yeah, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Your support means the world to me, and I really appreciate all of the kindness and love I have received recently. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! You want to say bye to the people?
Bye-bye.